Welcome to Diaries of a Healing Latina. This is a safe space where we talk about the parts of healing that no one really prepares us for. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the one that got away. Or could we say the right person, wrong time? I'm not sure. But I'm going to give my side of the story on a person that I actually fell for very deeply in a very short amount of time. And I think I fell for this person because of who they were, how they treated me, how they spoke to me, and honestly, how they just made me feel overall. I feel like in today's dating is so difficult because not a lot of people are sincere or very straightforward. It's just almost like around the hoop and trying to figure out what exactly that person wants or what exactly that person's looking for. And in this case, it was not that, but later on, we ended up finding out that we were just not on the same page. With all of that being said, we're going to start my little story time with this person because this person truly means a lot to me. And letting them go, I think, was one of the hardest things that I had to do overall because I couldn't let them go. I could not let them go. Letting them go hurt me so bad. It hurt me more than my 7-year relationship. Like, that's how bad it hurt me. But I just dated this person for like 2-3 months. That was pretty much it. And within that time frame, it felt like an eternity. It felt like he was my person. It felt like we were soulmates in the past. It felt like a sincere friendship from the very beginning that ended up building into something more. And I had never experienced that. Usually when I date someone, I don't know if this happens to anyone else, that person goes directly, like within the first 2 weeks, they try to kiss you, they try to make you feel special, so they can get in there. But this person was completely different. There was no touching, there was nothing. It was the complete opposite. We ended up building a friendship out of our relationship. And it was something that I was not used to, and it was very shocking to me because there were moments that I would question myself and be like, is this person really into me or they just want to be my friend? But at the moment, I took it more, maybe they are into me, but who knows? I'm just going to let it be. And that's exactly what I did. I let it be. So let's go back a little bit. This person and I actually met at a Halloween party. And I did not remember how I met this person whatsoever. He remembers everything from beginning to end. I don't. And I've always asked him to not tell me how we met because that Halloween, that was actually my last Halloween where I got pretty drunk. And just like I said, I was pretty drunk. So I'm not sure what I had said. I'm not sure if I was the one that introduced themselves, or I don't know if he was the one that introduced himself to me. But all I know is the next day when I woke up, I had a DM from him saying, it was a pleasure meeting you. And I'm staring at this phone like, who's this guy? I have no idea who this guy is or when I met him. But from there, we were following each other on social media. And I would say about a year and a half, we would just interact very lightly on social media. He will like one picture or one story like once in a blue moon, and the same thing with me, but we never had a full-on conversation. We had like very minor conversations where we would get to know each other like about our cultures and stuff because we were of different cultures, and we ended up finding out that we had a lot of similarities within our cultures, and that was actually really nice and really beautiful. But everything started very friendly, and one day I remember I had started baking again because I quit baking and cooking after my ex-boyfriend. I basically did not bake at all. I stopped because I used to bake and cook for him. So that was something that I had stopped, and around that time it was when I started my healing journey, and I decided that I wanted to get back into cooking and baking and doing all of the things that I used to do as a teenager. And that's exactly what I started doing. And I would post my little recipes on my stories and my feed and everything. And I remember very clearly one day I posted something that said like, my love language is cooking for someone. And he responded to that being all flirty, like, oh, maybe you should cook or bake for me one day. And me being all flirty, I was like, oh yeah, like I would love to cook for you or whatever. So I'll never forget, he was like, oh, like, would you want to do like a little, you come over to my house and you cook for me and or bake for me and whatnot. And in my mind, I'm like, this is just like one of the other conversations where it's going to fall off and we're not going to go anywhere or even meet each other. So whatever, like I'm just going to say yes, because I know it's not going anywhere. So me being all flirty, I was like, yeah, of course. Like I would love to cook for you. I would love to bake for you. Like I'll go over to your house and whatnot. And he says, are you free tomorrow? And I'm like, oh, wait, this might be real. We might be meeting each other. And I said, yes. So he sends me his address. He tells me the time to go over to his house. And at that moment, I was like, wait, what did I do? Mind you, I did not want to meet this person, quote unquote, on a first date at their house. I don't know them, but I was also intrigued because he treated me so differently from all of the other men. Usually men, when they meet me, they want to take me out on a date immediately, or they gaslight me, and they're very aggressive with their approach, and it's almost like very instant. There's no space in getting to know each other, and that's something that I realized later on after I met him. I went over to his house. No, I did not cook. Honestly, I felt very nervous and I was very quiet, and he was like, you're always posting on social media and talking like nothing. I don't understand why you're so nervous. And in my mind, I'm like, you make me nervous. Like, you make me so nervous. And by the way, men don't make me nervous. I do not care. But that man made me nervous from the very beginning. He did not make me cook or anything like that. We had dinner at his house and we got to meet each other, just ask each other questions back and forth. It was actually a very light but very comfortable, I would say, first day, especially at someone's house that's a man. Because if a man invites you to their house, it's not going to go that way. 95% of the time, they're probably going to try to push you to go to bed with them. And this man, absolutely nothing. He didn't even touch me, didn't even try absolutely anything. We had a major distance between each other, and we just had the best conversation ever. Honestly, it was the most heartfelt feeling that I had felt in a very long time. Right after that, we started talking, but very, very light. It was not even like, you know, when you start talking to someone, they text you every single day, every single morning, and basically you get to meet this person within a week because of how much you guys text and talk. But this person, it wasn't like that. It was very faint. It was like every other day whenever he had time, because he was a very busy man. Well, he is a very busy man. There were moments where I did question myself, is he really into me, or did he get turned off after he met me? What exactly is going on? But later on, I realized that when you actually date a busy man, they're not going to be texting you all day and night. Okay, they're going to text you, and I'm going to get to that. But he was basically building conversation for us, because every time we would be at his house, we would have full-on conversations, very deep conversations, and things that I wouldn't speak to any other man about, I was speaking to him about. And it felt pretty comforting, to be quite honest. And that's how we basically started building our relationship. It started very slow. And after, like I would say, a month, we were literally speaking every single day. Mind you, during the first month, I would say first month and a half, this man did not touch me. This man did not kiss me. This man, absolutely nothing. There was always a distance, and we would have just these deep conversations that at the end of all of this, I honestly thought that he just liked me as a friend. And he just wanted someone just to have conversations with. which at the end I was like, okay, like I feel comfortable, I guess. So by then I had already started building a crush on him, and I wanted more, obviously. And I'll never forget, it was Labor Day weekend, and my friends and I decided to go to Marco Island. I had a couple drinks, mind you. I had not been drinking for months already, because that's when I quit drinking and I started my healing journey. So I had like 1 or 2 drinks. I'm already a little tipsy, and I ended up texting him like, so are you never going to kiss me or like hug me or anything? And he basically said, I thought you weren't interested. I thought you didn't want me to kiss you or touch you. That's why I was just being careful with you, and I was just accepting your boundaries. And when he said that, I was shook. Girl, I was shook, because I was like, no man has ever said something like that to me. And for me to ask a man to kiss me is a lot. Okay? Is a lot. Because usually men, like I said, within the first week, they're already throwing themselves, like they're already pushing you to like try to kiss them. They're already gaslighting you of how much they care about you and that they want a relationship and all of these lies. This guy was nothing like that. After I got back from Marco Island, I went over to his house and we were just having conversations. At the end of the night, that's when he kissed me. And I basically was floating above the ground, because I was like, oh my God, and this man is such an amazing kisser too. Like, he's a gentleman and an amazing kisser. Like, whatever. From there, obviously, the rest is history. But after we were intimate and after all of that, like, we had our first kiss, and that was like the most intimate we had felt with each other. We had already built that deep connection between both of us, because we were already having really deep conversations, and that's around the time that I was having therapy, and we would just conversate about therapy sessions and all of that, and like things that I was going through, so on and so forth, and same with him. So it just felt very intimate. But right after that, basically everything was just like a spark. Like it felt almost like, okay, like we're building a relationship, because we started speaking every single day. We wouldn't talk the entire day. Like, we would just, him or I would text each other, good morning, I hope you have an amazing day. And then at night, basically a recap of your day, because like I said, he's a very busy man. I loved that, because it also gave me my space to be me, but I also knew that he was there. You know, I didn't need that assurance that he wanted to be with me every single day, all day long, like at all. And the one thing that I truly loved about him and being with him, and something that taught me, it was that with him, I felt secure. I felt protected. I felt like I didn't need to search to see if he was entertaining other women. I didn't feel like I never felt like he had another woman whatsoever. I felt pretty secure with our relationship, and it felt very like a healing connection. It felt very genuine. It felt very loving. It felt very caring. He was the type of person that would always check up on me. If I had something going on, he would check up on me that same day, whether it was in the morning or at night, whenever. For example, my sister, around that time, she was studying in Korea, and when she came back, I had told him, like, my sister's coming back from Korea, like, I'm super excited, I'm gonna pick her up. I made this whole banner, like, welcome back. And the next day, he texted me and asked me how everything went with my sister, if she was happy, like, whatever, you know, just like a little catch up. And those little small things were the ones that made something bigger in me, because I had not felt that in a really long time. The men that I had dated in the past were so toxic that no one gave me any sort of reassurance in a non-toxic way. I don't know if that makes sense. He was very reassuring. Like, if we were sitting on his couch watching TV, and if he were texting someone, he would just be like, oh, like, I'm texting my sister. Sometimes he would just show me, which I never, ever, ever asked him to show me anything. I never asked to see his phone. I never asked for absolutely anything. He would just do it on his own. If he had an event or if he was hanging out with his friends, he would send me pictures. I never asked for any of that. He would just be like, oh, like, look, this is the food that we're eating. These are my friends. Or like, this is the event. This is what I'm wearing. It was always very reassuring. And there was one moment, but it was also my time of the month, where I felt a bit insecure, mainly about myself. And I told him about that. And he immediately moved his entire schedule around to make sure that I felt secure, that I felt good about myself, that I felt fine. And that was, to me, mind-blowing, because no man had done that for me in a very long time. Usually, when I felt insecure in any relationship, or, oh my God, I'm about to cry. When I felt insecure in any relationship, or I felt like that person was either speaking to other women, or I felt that that person was not being loyal or anything like that, they were just not giving me that reassurance. Usually those men would start an argument, or they would just tell me that I'm overthinking, I'm overreacting, I'm this, I'm that. And it was never more of a nurturing way, the way that this person made me feel. And going from all of that past trauma and constantly being kicked to now being with someone that gave me the reassurance, that made me feel secure at all times, it was almost like, wow, like, this really does exist. And this person didn't have to do that, because I never asked for any of that. He just did it because he wanted to. And that to me was mind-blowing, because I felt that I had to beg so much all of my past toxic relationships to be there for me, that after I left all of that toxicity behind and I decided to quit dating, this person came in, showed me that there are men like him that still exist, and that basically there's still faith. There's still faith that there's someone that's going to give you or give me their 100%, without you having to feel insecure, without you having to question yourself, without you having to constantly be begging for the bare minimum. And that's why I got so attached to him. And to me, it feels like the one that got away, but it's more of the perfect person, but the wrong time. At the end of it all, it was one of the most healthiest relationships I had ever had in my 31 years of living. He was so loving. He was so nurturing. Honestly, I will forever appreciate him for showing me that side, for showing me that there's still men out there that are like that, that not every man is trash, because sometimes I'm like, all men are trash, but not all men are trash. It's just, my broken heart speaking out of anger. But after a couple months, I actually spoke to my therapist and I asked her, I don't know if I should ask him if this is going to go towards a relationship, or what are we doing here? My therapist suggested me speaking to him and telling him, I'm dating to date someone, to be in a relationship, not to just have another situationship. And so that night I went to his house and we had a cute little movie date night. And at the end, I was like, listen, before I leave, I do want to speak to you about something. And I told him, I'm dating to be in a relationship. I don't want to date to be in another situationship. And that's when he told me that he was not ready for a relationship because of his job. It's very demanding, and he knew that he couldn't give me his 100%. And the little bit that he was giving me, he felt like it wasn't enough. And I understood. That was the night that we basically ended things. After that, I did fall back into my old toxic ways and going out and drinking. And I did call him a couple times, not that many, but a couple times drunk. And I was so heartbroken because I was like, what were we doing then? If we weren't dating to be in a relationship, how come it felt like a relationship? It felt like we were going towards something. It didn't feel like you were just using me. It didn't feel like I was just someone else. It just felt like we were going to be in a committed relationship. And I haven't been able to this one because every time I talk about it, it makes me cry. So today's day, he is my biggest heartbreak. After him, I actually quit dating. He's someone, he's still someone that I love very deeply with my entire heart. You know, not because of anything, but I love him because he showed me that there's still men that are respectful out there, that there are men that deserve to be loved, and there are men that are truly genuine and that are respectful, and you know, not like the saying, all men are trash. Not all men are trash. You know, they're hidden, but they exist. And I don't know, at least with me and him, things felt very genuine. It felt very sincere. It felt very heartwarming. It felt like home. It felt like a friendship. When we were together, it felt like love. And I wouldn't change it for one thing, you know? I think for me, it was so hard to let him go because he was the person that I was not expecting that from. I really was expecting a relationship out of that in the craziest way. But I know there's going to be a lot of people that make a lot of kickback and be like, oh, like, and this and that, like, you should have seen the signs. And there's a lot more to the story that I can't tell. But the little bit that I could tell you is this. But he's definitely someone very special in my heart. He's someone that I would definitely bend over backwards for. He's someone that I could definitely say the one that got away. He's the one that I regret basically letting go of. Because I always live with that mentality, like, what if I had stayed a bit longer? What if things would have been different and I would have not drank right after that and gone back to my toxic ways and just have time be and have time pass by just to see. Because I didn't allow time to pass by. I didn't give him the space. I didn't give myself the space. I literally just went back into my toxic ways because that was the only thing that I knew how to do at the moment, instead of dealing with the pain on my own and trying to heal from the pain differently. But I will forever wish him the best. I will forever keep him in my heart, in my mind, in my soul. He's someone that's beautiful inside out. And you know, and he is still alive, but it almost feels like I'm mourning him, you know? Like because even though he's still alive, like, you know, he's someone that's no longer in my life and no longer part of my life. And I wish he were. Only God knows, you know? And I think he came into my life to show me that there is hope, because I have and have had a lot of resentment against men. And he was an angel that God sent me to show me that not all men are the same, that there's someone out there that's going to make me feel secure, that's going to make me feel protected, that's not going to make me doubt myself or make me feel like they're speaking to other women, that they're going to make me feel like I can rely and trust them. Because I feel like I can't trust men at the moment. Well, back then was worse. But he was someone that taught me all of those values that I feel like I needed to see and feel myself to know that that's what I deserve. Not the men from my past that were toxic, that constantly lied to me, that were constantly out clubbing with either their ex-girlfriend or with a bunch of women. That there are men out there that they have their shit straight, they work day and night, and you know, that even with their busy schedules, they'll make time for you. Not the whole bullshit lie, oh, I'm busy, and they're out here just drinking and clubbing. But with all of that being said, I wanted to share that because I had seen a video of a man asking, well, do women have the one that got away? And in a way, for me, this is the one that got away. You know, even though there are some signs, but I feel like he was someone that needed to come into my life to teach me something greater from my past situationships, from my past relationships, because all I've known and all I've seen and all I've felt has been toxicity, you know, has been me being heartbroken, has been just the same old routine, the dude that is drinking out in the club with a bunch of women and cheating on me constantly, lying to me, and all of these things. And I just needed someone that felt like a friend, that felt like a home, that felt like love. And that's who he was for me. And that's why I wanted to share that story, because yes, I could be a man hater, but I could also be a loving woman. To the right man. To the right man. Let's not get that twisted, because I ain't that easy either to open up to men. If you love this story, I love for you to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.